Whoa.
Yay. Okay, I guess we are online. Cool. Hey all, and welcome to the panel, Incubation Alliance, how to create a sustainable ecosystem for video game industry. I'm glad to see there are some people interested in the work we do to make the industry as a whole to be stronger and more sustainable. This is not the most known area of work in the industry, so I think we really need this panel. So let's get started with a quick round of introductions. I'll be polite and go first. Haha. Uh, yeah, I'm Suvi Kiviniemi. I'm the incubation manager at Living Game Intelligence Network, also called LGIN, which is a part of Metropolia University of Applied Sciences in Helsinki, Finland. I used to run my own game company for almost 6 years, and then I kind of pivoted to supporting other game companies. And now I've been running game incubation in a couple of different forms, trying out different concepts for the last 3 years. So some experience already in this area too. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining our panel. I'm Mike Haruki Yamazaki. I'm working in Marvelous, and I'm a founder, chairman, and executive producer of IGI, which is the first and only game incubator in Japan. Very nice having you here.
Right. Thank you, Mike. And Pedro, if you'd go next.
Great. So good morning for everyone from my point of view, or the time zone that you are, or if it's recorded any place. So my name is Pedro. I am an industry expert. I'm PhD student in the game industry, and actually right now I'm incubator manager in São Paulo, the Especini Game Incubator, the first game exclusive incubator here in Brazil. And I'm also been working with other projects here in Brazil and worldwide and helping to build the game industry.
Thank you, Pedro. And then Oscar.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the session. I hope it's useful for you in the end and you get good tips from us. I've been 10 years in the video game industry. I've studied a master's degree in game design and development. I work as freelance game designer for different companies. Then I was incubated in an incubation program, GameBCN Incubation Program, first edition. I co-founded a studio with a couple of friends where we were working there, creating full educational video games for 3 years. And for the last 4 years, I've been running GameBCN Incubation Program. And we have also started now in June with Mike and Marvelous IGI, Indie Game Incubator in Japan. So a lot of things coming on.
Let me.
Yep.
I just forgot to say one thing is about myself. So I also been like 10 years in the game industry, and before joining game industry, I used to be like a rock musician. So I was like
we have a rock star
myself.
Rockstar.
Yeah. So I kind of I think I understand the indie mentality, and that's not, and I want to like support creators from point of view of creating like ecosystems where they can keep the blissful creative process. Yes.
Cool. So thank you. So as you see, we all work in supporting young game companies, but incubation isn't really not only about the companies we support. It's also about building and supporting the future and the culture of the whole industry in a wider sense. And that's actually why we wanted to have this panel. We'd like to make more people aware of the need to build a healthy ecosystem and ways to support the industry. We're kind of on a common mission. Pedro, would you like to describe the mission we have?
Yeah, well, we have this mission that is broadly is how to support and help emerging creators from the game industry to achieve their successes and sustainable life from their games. So we're talking about collaboration, we are talking about networking, we're talking about knowledge sharing, and all of these as a tool for nurturing this positive environment and how help these game developers to achieve their sustainability and achieve this sustainably through their creative expressions. Incubators, from my point of view, and I think all of you agree that it's a process. It's a process that help to create this space that help people to create games. So we are creating this process, and through this process, we are creating possibilities to these people, and that's all the point what we are doing right now.
If you, I would like to make a point that Suvi said when we were discussing to do this panel, was that if ecosystems were healthy, incubators wouldn't be needed. And yeah, I really like that. And I think that we are trying to to solve the problems that probably the economical model, the political model, is bringing to the industry, and we are trying to cover that spaces.
And let me just add on top of this that I've been just attending this APEC incubation symposium, where there's data that there are 7,000 incubators around the world.
Oh, wow.
And there are maybe, what, 50?
Yeah, as in top of 50. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to do all the work so that we don't have to do it, we won't be needed.
yeah, that's the classical truth of all leadership work is to make yourself the ultimate goal is to make yourself useless, and that's also what we kind of are trying to do. But yeah, we are, as we know, we are on kind of a common mission. Sorry. But there's of course like a lot of background knowledge and experience leading us to that mission, and the listeners probably don't know much about all of that. So Oscar, would you like to tell us a bit about the things that have led us to this mission?
Mainly, of course, my experience is mainly based in Spain. We have also discussed with all of you guys what should be, or what are the main problems facing the video game industry. And we have realized that, first of all, superstar companies, they are sustainable and they don't need really help and support, but at least in Spain, they continue getting help and funds from the government, which in my opinion is not a good way to strengthen the industry, because if you want to strengthen the video game industry, you need to create tissue, and help smaller teams to create more industry, together with this next to these top huge giants, So the growth of the game industry is not reflected in the sustainability of indie studios, because at least in Spain, the survival ratio is at 20%, which is very, very low. One problem, or not one problem, or one situation that happened in Spain, it's like 80 years ago, big companies started to come to Barcelona, and more companies were coming, and that created a lot of speculation in the educational system, creating a lot of every single school, every single university, everyone was training in video games to young people. At some point, that the demand from the companies was not as big as the offer. So a huge ecosystem of people knowing something about video games and not finding a job led them to say, okay, let's try to create our own video game studio, let's make our game. So we have a huge ecosystem in Spain of this kind of profiles in the developers. And the problem is that there is not enough help from the industry, from the governments. At least we are very happy that at least in Catalonia, the local government is having a lot of economical help for the studios. It's a shame that it doesn't happen in the rest of the Spain, you know. But at least here we have a lot of help, but not enough. And there is also a lack of talent, and for the reason also big companies don't want to hire, you know, youngers coming out from university. And what else? I mean, of course, there is a lack of business education in the video games, training sessions. And it's important that these developers have some entrepreneurial skills, because I mean they could create, you know, a company and try to be sustainable, but they have no idea how to sell the game. So that's a big problem. And also we have detected a lack of video game training in educational business degrees. So all these business degrees are focused on traditional, you know, business models, and also like the classical startup, you know, like product solving a problem business model. So there is no such profiles that who want to work, you know, in a video game company or with a development team, you know, to create a company. And again, also private inversion, at least in Spain, is very, very low for the video games companies, because I mean, business angels have a very traditional mind, you know, and they don't want to risk in something that, you know, it's like ethereal, you know, it's a video game, you know, don't know if it's gonna work or not. So, and I think I just said a little bit the main problems that we are facing, at least in Spain.
I think Oscar touched in the central point for me is that we have in our industry a lot of entrepreneurs by necessity. So there is a lot of people that want to create games and live from games, but become entrepreneurs, but because that's the only path that they see for live from their games, for create games and express through their games. But we know that not everyone is natural entrepreneurs. Not everyone is a businessman, businesswoman, and etc. And especially difficult for artists as game creators to become business persons. So it's kind of tricky, this problem, because we have this mass of people that want to create games. There is really, really talented on create games, but it's not enough to be talented on great games, because we know that in our industry, we need more things that only create an interesting game to succeed. And in other hand, we have an industry that more than double its size in 10 years, and demands a lot of talents. They are stealing talents from each other in the huge companies, but the kind of talent that they need is not the talent that came up from the university. It's senior talents. So what we can do to mind this gap, and I think an incubator program is something that we are trying to do to achieve these issues, so to face these issues, and it's a little bit about that in my point of view.
Like the biggest challenge in Japan that you probably guys never faced is the language barrier. So
Yeah,
like a lot of Japanese don't really prefer to speak English. So in case of establishing incubator and, you know, working with Oscar and with materials from GameBCN, we've had to do a lot of like translating work, and it's still ongoing thing. And apart from that, yeah, there's very few like government support, and also 99% of indie developers are self-financed. So there's no like traditionally, there's no like, let's say, habit of asking people for money, because it's all related with the honor thing, the, you know, saving face, huge commitment. So yeah.
Yeah.
From the Japanese side.
Yeah, in Finland, I'd say the biggest challenge for the industry as a whole is probably the lack of senior talent. Also, like the industry in Finland is growing at a huge pace, and we really, really need more senior talent. But in general, I mean, we've been talking about these things quite a bit with you guys, and it seems like a lot of this is like a general truth. It's universal. It applies. A lot of it applies to all of us and all the other countries that we know at some stage of the development, at least. Like not necessarily right now, but it has or it will. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of common ground. Yeah, go on.
I think from my point of view, we have some special challenges in Brazil that it's not that difficult in at least in North America and in Europe, because we are pretty far from the center of the industry, and it's too expensive for our game creators to attend any huge event in the industry. We have here in São Paulo the big festival. It's I think the biggest without the probably the name, but it's the hugest event in South America. But we are far from Gamescom. We are far from GDC. We cannot easily attend these important meetup centers of the industry, and we are
Now
also
you can.
yeah, now we can, but we know that the importance of the in-person relation, the beer afterwards, all this kind of stuff that happens in the corridors of the events. And it's pretty difficult for Brazilian early stage developers to attend any of these. And also about networking. So for a developer here in Brazil to know someone in a publisher or something, it's really, really difficult because we doesn't have publishers here in Brazil. We have some kind of publishers, but any of the huge publishers are here, or any of the huge game producers are here. We have a lot of very consolidated studios, especially on mobile industry, but that there is a really, really problem in Brazil as an emerging economy in this matter. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have basically a lot of the same challenges. We've also ended up using roughly the same tool to battle the same challenges we have, which is incubators. But I don't know how well the audience really knows what incubators actually do, and why do we think that works to strengthen the industry. Would you, Mike, want to elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, like incubators are mainly the business support for very early stages, like seed. It's called seed stage, seed phase teams that have an idea, have a passion to do something, but they actually have no idea how to do it. And you probably would agree that most of the teams don't pass through the Death Valley because they fail along the process, like whether that be production or maximizing the marketing impact or the business mindset, where they want to do things like without contracts and just on a verbal agreements. So what we do at the incubators is that we teach them the best practices about the process, like how to properly manage the production and how to actually make a game deliverable product instead of a passion project. Because ultimately, like I've been from a publisher perspective, I've been talking to more than 100 teams and 100 projects, and what is striking, or what is kind of the impression I had, that most of those teams, like they'd rather talk about their passionate project rather than talk to me about the business from as I'm the publisher and I'm in the position of let's say investor. So I'd like to have a clear vision on what the game is trying to achieve, like how it's going to maximize the marketing impact and how it's going to use like social features to bring even more attention and awareness. What are their business requirements? Do they need money? Do they need marketing? Do they need like localization? I need such information at hand to be able to process it further. But my journey with incubators started during Gamescom when I met a couple of teams from Barcelona, and they were all like wow for me, because their pitches were so well structured, and they were all saying they're alumni of GameBCN, and I felt like, what the hell is this GameBCN thing? I got to speak with those guys. They have some magical like a process or like magical elixir to bring this passionate guys to a businessman. So that's how I connected with Oscar. We decided that Marvel is going to be a sponsor. And I thought, like, why not bring this to Japan? And it actually, I think it greatly fits the Japanese challenges of the creators. I think we estimate there are about 10,000 creators in Japan that are not really active in the space of gaming. They need special initiatives because traditional employment contract in Japan doesn't allow people to do side jobs. So they need a bit more public or private initiatives in order to have a safety net and focus just on their passionate project. Mm-hmm. So in incubation, we learn them how to make how to schedule the production properly, how to plan the marketing, how to think about their initiative as a business, as a sustainable business, to be profitable. Because in order for game developers to keep producing games, their games have to be profitable. It's that simple, So it's all about the successful market entry.
Yeah, in the end, it's a business. And let me do some apportation, because Mike, you talk about this very seed stage of the teams that we pretend to help. I wouldn't identify indies as youngsters coming out from school or university. For us, we treat the term indie as developers for the first time willing to create a video game studio, because we have helped senior guys coming from big companies, that they decided, okay, now it's time for us to try and do our own game. And for example, we helped here with the studios, which our big studio, and they are doing well.
We also have a Digi, like a game team that has 15 years of experience as a single guy. So definitely, yeah.
Yeah, they'll still have some new challenges for sure.
And this terms of seniority of the participants of the team is kind of a challenge for us as incubator managers, I think, because it's really, really difficult to deal with very different background of people in a same program. So because the demands is really, really it's depend on the background of each team. So how to provide a program that help everyone, despite of the business model, because there is some mobile premium or whatever, and it's some VR team together with free to play, together with a premium console Metroidvania artistic game, and we have some teams that come from Blizzard and other teams that they are making their first game through the final project of their universities, and how to build a program that helps everyone at the same time. And I think that's especially for me, we are running this pilot project. It's the first cycle of the SPCN incubator. And I'm curious to know more about these issues from Oscar, because since I think GameBCN is in their 6th cycle or something, for me, it's curious to know how to deal with these very different backgrounds at the same time, because I'm trying to figure out what kind of activities I can approach for everyone?
So yeah, everything. I mean, we keep learning, year after year, and we keep improving. And of course, we realize about that the different needs that teams have. So for the last years, we are carrying out a deep audit, technical audit, with each team, with the selected teams, in terms of team itself, design, art, and programming. So we can perfectly understand which are the strongest points and the weakest points of each team. And that way, we can customize the training and mentoring sessions we do for every team. And as we have a bunch of collaborators at GameBCN, because we have Social Point, we have GameLoft, Marvelous, and other big companies just letting us or sending us professionals, to do the training and mentoring sessions. I mean, we have a bunch of people to choose, and we can find perfectly the right profile for each company. So at the very end, it's not that difficult. We have a training program, but there are just a few common areas for all the teams, but all the rest of the training sessions are adapted and customized to each team needs.
So I think that the huge value we provide for the teams and incubees is the connection to the network of reliable professionals with the proper expertise they need.
Definitely, yeah. I actually, I took the crazy step of actually completely dumping having a incubation program and just going with the network, but I think that was probably a step too far, and I'm actually probably going a bit back now. But I mean, it's iteration, it's learning every round. So yeah, at the moment we don't actually have an incubation program. We just have this like customized mentoring, but that's also maybe not the most effective way to do this. So learning.
And since what you were talking about these modular this modular approach of incubators, I think that's the huge difference between incubators and formal education programs. So what we do is really modular and tailor-made for the things that we are incubating. So it's not some fixed program with sticked materials.
It's no mass production.
Yes, it's not mass production. It's about to look on who is into the incubator and help them with their specific problem. And here, one of the things that are being most interesting and important in this matter is the environment of the incubator itself. So how the teams are collaborating with each other. For me, it's have been incredible how in a full online incubator, because of COVID, it's a fully online into the Discord, and everyone are willing to help each other, giving feedback for their games, and that's one of the most interesting thing in my point of view. Not only the mentorship and all this stuff, but also the teams itself helping each other and networking and giving feedback and playtesting games from each other. This kind of environment for me is the most richest things in the incubator here in SPCini.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention my experience doing the audits that Oscar just mentioned to IGI teams. Like, it felt like it's no mass production. It's like every audit is different. Every team is different. It feels like forging an arm for like different, people, and you need to use your hammer and you use your like muscle to actually, create something from the sculpture. But the impact it gives for the whole community and ecosystem, I think it's huge, because it's like, passing the fire, like from one candle, you can pass it to hundreds of candles, So this person or this team we audited, they can bring this value to share it with the rest of the community, whoever they are. So even though this work is super tough, I'm just thinking it's also super joyful because of how huge of an importance and impact it brings.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things that like actually makes the ecosystem of games much healthier when people kind of learn early to help each other. But yeah, I think we should jump to the next topic so we don't run out of time. Incubators also tend to kind of take a role in mediating between the industry, government officials, and the academia of games. And that is an important part of our role. But I think the person here who knows most about that probably would be Pedro from your academic background. So would you like to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm been researching these public policies for development of the game industry, and also, and I'm ending up into incubation program, thinking on one public policy that really helps the environment of the industry, and these academy in one side and government in other side. It's really important for the game industry. And incubators, it's right in the mid of this industry, academia, and government environment. So the first of all, indie studios need funding, and they doesn't need funding from their own mortgages or selling their cars or getting their own funds to create their games, because if you need the silver bullet of success, if you doesn't have money to failure, it's going to be really difficult to achieve success. And we all know that the institution that has more power of investment without needing a return of investment is the government. They have a lot of these kind of programs. And the importance of government in terms of building these ecosystems of innovation and creativity is really huge, in terms that all the huge industries in ecosystems in our industry has with the support of government. So in Canada,
and it's
UK,
like a very long-term planning, no?
Yes, it's a long-term planning. It's not something that you need to start to put in money on, and in 2 years you're gonna have the results. It's something that you need to think on in a long term, and long-term planning. It's something that only governments can do, because in private investment, it's really difficult to have enough
Fiscal
funds.
year.
Yes, it's a fiscal year. So, and in one side we have this power of the government, and other side the industry gives back to the government a lot of things that the government loves. For example, jobs. For example, taxes. For example, foreign direct investments. So the game industry attracts a lot of international investments for the countries, attracted talents, trained talents. We are in an industry that is in the midterm between creative economy and technology. So we are training skills that can be absorbed by a very different sizes, different branches of the economy. So our industry can give back for the society and the government as a consequence a lot of things. And we have seen into the experience of public policies for the game industry that we are giving back in taxes, in investment, in jobs, and in economical tester, a lot of good results for the industry. And in other side, we have the academia that has this problem that they are forming a lot of talents that mostly doesn't, it came out from the university, doesn't have jobs. So we need to create something that mind this gap between the formal education and the industry itself. In an industry that is ongoing changing, not only in business model, but also in technology. So we need to mind this gap with something that helps to connect the formal education with industry. And that's where incubation is located. So it's right between this spot. And one of the things that we are testing on here in São Paulo with SPC Incubator is we have cultural policies that fund prototypes for games. In a lot of places around the world, we have this kind of funds. But a problem with this cultural funds is that you are funding a product that without a good mentoring or knowledge, they doesn't know how to sell this product or how to deliver this product to the audience. So the government are funding games that will never be played for anyone. So the incubation program is about helping them to achieve the market, and also to attract private investment to create a sustainable cycle, not depending on the public fund, but also attract a private fund to create this environment, sustainable environment into the process. So I think I said a lot of times sustainable environment in my speeches, because it's all about this. It's all about to create this cycle.
Yeah, well, that's
yeah,
what it
I
all
would
is
also-
about. Yeah, go on.
And I would also like to add that we as incubators, we should take advantage of our position and make lobby with governments to analyze and adapt training in video games to the needs of the industry. Because if not, in the end, we are creating, youngsters, young people that will get out of university or school, and they won't be able to find a job, because nowadays they are looking for more talented people and more specialized profiles. So I think this is also an important point to act.
True. So you're basically saying that the education should also start learning from incubation. They should also have like this modular thing where they train specialists tailored to the needs of the industry, right? Like we train the teams to.
Like I think in general, like way of thinking for formal education is that they think that the trend is that there's like a single truth. The professor has all the truth and the right vision. However, like we believe that the truth is something we are led towards, like something we discover rather than is provided by somebody.
Yes, and it's constantly changing too.
There is
especially
no
in
truth
an
at
industry
all.
like
Yeah.
this. Yeah. The truth is going to be different one next Tuesday.
It's like it's the difference between an orchestra and a jazz band. Like in orchestra, like there's a the main person and who's saying every people in the orchestra how to play. However, when you play jazz, like it's nobody has any answers. Like we are just trying to make something cool together, and usually it clicks. Sometimes it doesn't, but every time it's different experience.
Did we lose Oscar?
Yes,
I
Oscar.
hope not.
He was saying he was entering the time capsule, so maybe he got back to the beginning of the session.
Let's really come back.
Let's see. I hope he comes back.
Let's
But
hope.
okay,
Oh,
he came
that's
back.
okay.
I
Good.
apologize.
Good.
I'm experiencing some connection problems.
Okay.
No.
Well, it didn't take long, so no problems. Yeah.
I wanted to quickly mention, like, so we as IGI, we are a privately funded incubator, and the main focus for me right now is to work with City of Kobe and try to create an incubator that is more like publicly funded than privately, or it's maybe like donation based. So in fact, public funded means like much more long term and much bigger volume of games we can create.
For my
true.
researchers, I had interviewed a couple of incubator managers around, and I wasn't going to review who gave this quote, but it said that incubator is good for everyone, but no for the incubator itself, because the business model of an incubator it's really problematic because you are providing value for someone that cannot pay for the program. So the benefit is medium to long term. It's costly. it's difficult to run. So I think
I
it's
think
really,
that
really challenging.
the best part is nobody wants to do it.
Yeah,
Oh, we do.
and
we do.
and that
we want.
we want because we want to make the difference. We want to leave the name like this is our legacy. This is our life work. It doesn't feel like work, no? Like
Yeah,
our mission is our art. That's how I perceive it.
Oh, that's really beautiful, man. Yeah,
that's true.
So it really serves the creators and ecosystem, and I think that's the main driver.
Yeah, you are right. Even though we work with plenty of very different types of people, like governments and academia and game developers and senior industry people, and everyone, ecosystem tends to be kind of lonely at times. Like at best, you probably in your own location you have like a handful of people who know what you do, who understand what you do. Most of us don't really have even that. Like you might be the only person in your country understanding what you do,
yeah.
which is pretty crazy. So I believe you guys have some sort of an initiative coming up to answer this question. So was it Mike who'd like to tell us about the Incubation Alliance first?
So when I first started talking with Oscar and then with Pedro, I came up with a crazy idea. How about we unite our forces, join together for the mission and the journey of creating open, transparent, and sustainable ecosystem for game creators, which ultimately is something that drives us on a daily basis. And the incubators tend to be, as you Suvi said, like incubators tend to be really region focused. But there is no need to make it like just a region focus anymore, because there are so many ways we can connect. And there's actually when I was speaking with and the APEC incubation symposium, like there's no support group for incubation managers, something that already exists in gaming industry. We have a support group on Discord, but I was thinking about going a bit further and join forces in order to make a even bigger impact. And I think that there are a few things we can do together. We can the easiest thing is to support each other with sharing the best practices. The other thing is that we can instead of like holding, let's say, issues or problems within the incubator, how to do things. I think there's a lot of cases already being explored throughout multiple gaming incubators that exist around the world. And also there is a challenge of learning organization, how to actually create because incubation is like a constant learning process, and I believe there's no formal education of for incubation managers. So in that sense, I think we as in creating Incubation Alliance, starting from Spacini, GameBCN, and Iggy, we'd love to increase the visibility of incubators, the impact we create for ecosystem and for game creators. And that's super important from a human development perspective, because with lack of formal training, the only way to train new next-gen, let's say, talent to run incubators is to like create a training program for us to share the knowledge.
And also to develop a method around
method. And I think it's super crucial that we also work towards making an incubation manager job proposition as an attractive career opportunity, collaborating with academia. So I actually had a discussion with one university in Japan. So this is like a business management school. However, they have students that really like games. Okay, they are also teaching them how to program. So the thing is, like, they love games. They learning about gaming, about business management. However, how about giving them a path of career where they don't have to create games, but they are leading multiple teams? So having Alliance, we are also able to significantly impact like governments and provide them with the know-how, connection, and support in planning and process in order to create local ecosystems for the gaming creators, especially in Japan, where there's like wasted human talent. Like about 10,000 game creators are currently disconnected from the industry, and they need like support in form of public and private initiatives. So there's a lot we can do together, and there's hell of a lot of work, exciting journey to go through together. So that's why we created Incubation Alliance.
That
And
sounds really cool. Can I play with you guys? Like more
Please.
seriously,
You are.
more
You
seriously.
already are.
I am. But more seriously, like what is the call to action here?
In my opinion, is like bringing together, knowledge from different countries, from different profiles, and in order to share it with government, academia, industry itself, and make it, trying to create these ecosystems, sustainable ecosystems, trying to bring a balance to the things that that have a balance during the years, or new issues that have become a reality in the video game industry. So I think we need to cover the needs. I don't know, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, definitely. We just touched the surface of all the challenges that we have in our industry, and there is a lot of places out there that doesn't have any action like an incubator. And an important thing that I like to state is a game studio is not a tech startup. And there is a lot of game studios ending up in a tech incubator, in a startup incubator. And I think it's really, really bad for them. There is some, I think some exceptions, but mostly of these incubators doesn't know anything about the game business and also anything about game creation process. And we need to create game exclusive spaces for them to help them. Because some of these tech incubators are also destroying these studios because they are putting destructive startup mindset to them that it's not good for creative industries.
Too aggressive, right?
Yes.
Too result oriented.
It's result oriented. It's very different business models. The mentors have different mindsets. The investment, it's really, really different cycles, and they doesn't know anything about the process on making games. So there is a lot of pretty developed ecosystems in the industry that doesn't have incubator. But also, I'm talking from Sao Paulo. It's an emerging ecosystem in the industry, and I know all the benefits for a place like Sao Paulo in a program like that. And we need in more programs like that in South America, in Africa, in Middle East, in South Asia, and all emerging ecosystems, because we need to connect these emerging developers from these marginalized countries with the network in the center of the industry. And I think what we are trying to create here is some place that local communities, governments, universities can reach out and say, okay, we want to create something like that. Help us to build this. If you are a local leader, if you know anyone that is trying to reach out and create something like that, we are trying to create it also, and we are learning from the process, and we want to create this space to share all this knowledge with you and learn from your perspective and from your point of view. and also connect our teams, our incubees with each other for sharing knowledge. I think this diversity of cultural background is really, really rich for our industry. So creating some point of contact of these kind of things is really, really important. And I'm having seen this with another project I'm involved in. It's Game Jam Plus. It's a kind of global competition starting with a Game Jam. And we have teams in Namibia, Madagascar, and all these places. And when they discovered that there is this international network of game creators, they started to be really happy to being connected with this industry. And we need to connect them with this industry. And I think an incubation program is a good hub to connect local creators with the global industry.
And something that surprises me is that, I mean, the industry, the video game industry is huge and it's growing tremendously, you know, and it's creating more revenue, you know, than any other cultural or audiovisual industry. So I don't understand why it hasn't become a priority for governments, you know, just to support this industry, give more help. So I think we need to have to do lobby, you know, to make governments understanding that the importance of the video game industry, you know.
So definitely, like one thing we definitely want to do together is like enhance GIGA, which is global industry, government, academia collaboration, which is something we already do. Kobe and Barcelona are both supporting our programs. They're twin cities, sister cities. Like Barcelona with Sao Paulo is also linked together in a collaboration. We are discussing with each other on 3 different continents and 3 different countries. So we'd love to see more of this sort of collaboration that leads to a much more efficient lobbying. And in terms of like creating ecosystems, like for incubators, in order to create awareness and increase our importance for the stakeholders like publishers and investors, we'll be creating the first incubation-oriented party event, like sort of a demo day for incubators, which is like an incubation summit. It will be organized sometime soon. you will hear about it more soon.
Sometime in the future.
but we definitely want to work with other incubators on this. So let's create massive value together for our incubees and for ecosystem as well, like game users that want to play really cool games and want to support games that are still in development. They just let them get to be part of the process. And also for the local governments that want to enhance their gaming ecosystem, we are here for them to serve as a global think tank. Like usually our consulting fee will be pretty high, like in few thousand US per hour, but we are open to do it for free and help them with planning process, with the execution process, and with networking them, finding the best people for the job, like the leaders of the industry. So let's definitely connect and create massive value together, because what we do is awesome. We are awesome! Yay!
Really awesome.
Yes, yay!
Yeah, that's really a thing, and I think that's connected with one of the things that I'm more passionate in the game industry is this collaborative environment. Game creators are willing to help each other. We are creating a media that is about to become avatars into a different environment, experience different realities. So as game creators, we also passes this kind of feeling into our creation process and into our lives. So this collaborative environment of the game industry is really rich for us to explore into these incubation processes. So connecting into this worldwide alliance of initiatives, it's also a way to to enhance this collaborative willing to help that we see in all over the industry. We know a lot of senior developers that give their volunteer time for help early stage developers. And that's really, really great for us. And we can achieve a lot of things with it. And the industry can grow a lot from it, because creativity and innovation needs this point of connection with different culture, diversity, and all this kind of things. And we are creating these meter points. We are creating these nodes between these people. And I think it's all about that.
That's beautiful. There's no questions actually in the Q&A, but I
They're
have
free.
one.
They're
Oh,
free.
What? Oh, they are. Wow. Sorry, I didn't see them.
They're popping up
Now
like
I do.
crazy.
Now I do. Now I do. I didn't see them. Just a sec back. But okay,
We
let's
just
go.
need 97 more for 100, but we are in the good way.
We don't need 100 questions. So, what were your biggest insights you had while working with the teams that helped you develop your strategies even further? Any examples of that?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, based on the experience and what I've been working with the teams, I mean, they are, in the end, I mean, they are super happy about, having work with industry professionals, because in our program, Social Point and Game Loft, above all, are bringing a lot of super expert guys working with the teams. And this is one of the most values of our program, and what the teams really appreciate, that being with someone that has been, a lead art director, at Game Loft, for example, coming there and just reviewing the art and whatever. So I think this is one of the top-notch things that the teams value.